eventually every property is going to sell, right? And eventually someone's going to need a manager because eventually they're not going to want to manage it themselves anymore. They're going to get to a certain age or they're going to sell that property. As long as they remember you and your face is in front of them or your name's in front of them, that's the ideal goal.
Yeah.
Right. Hence the branding piece.
Might not be right now, but
exactly.
It could be in 6 months.
Just because you send them a postcard and it sits on their desk, that's okay if they're not ready. But hopefully they will be. And it kind of goes back to my brokerage piece and my acquisition piece. It's like I've been building relationships with multifamily owners for years and years. They may not be interested in selling this year, next year, 5 years, whatever, but eventually they will. And as long as they think of me, and we have a good working relationship,
yep.
I'll be involved in that transaction.
Absolutely. And be a resource for them, too.
I'll help them out
so
in any way,
when they call you in
shape, or
6
form.
months and say, hey, do you have a good electrician?
Absolutely.
I'm self-managing right now.
Yeah.
Haven't decided to move with you.
Absolutely.
Some property managers might be like, well, that's what you need me for,
Exactly.
and why would I give you my vendors?
No.
No.
Even if you never use me, I'll give you information because you're a neighbor, right?
Yeah.
And it's goodwill. Yeah.
It's goodwill, and maybe you'll return the favor, maybe you won't, doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
Yeah.
And then the brokerage piece, is that is it something that you actively promote, or is it really just something that your clients get to know you for? And again, they know that it's getting time to sell, and I remember that Max really helped me out here, or he's been a great resource, or he is my active manager, and those are the types of deals you do? Or
yeah, so it's a little bit of organic word of mouth, but I'm also pretty I don't want to say aggressive, but I make a big effort to go and reach out to property owners.
Okay. Are you still doing that? The calls? And
absolutely,
great.
yeah.
Good. Yeah. I know that's how you uncovered the sixplex that I bought.
And so many other deals.
And you broke
Well, you have to, right? Because
you have these off-market deals, which is great.
I would say 95% of my deals are off-market.
It's awesome.
I rarely work on listings.
It's such a niche area, too, because
it's difficult.
It's difficult. Some people, they aren't ready to list. The Marcus Miller Chaps, the Franklin Streets, the CBREs, they're awesome at what they do, and they're great at getting listings, but there's just a certain percentage of people that, sure, they'd like to know what their property's worth, and maybe they would sell. They aren't yet committed. They weren't thinking about selling, but they'll take an offer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's kind of, you just have to get them to the why not, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's more how the commercial space works anyway, right? It's more of an off-market-ish thing, right? I mean, you have to, and also not even that, like you've brought me deals in the past, deals that I should have bought.
Me too.
Yeah, right.
We should have bought all of them.
The deals that I send you guys, I'm open to partnering as well. Like if I send a property out, I'm open. I'm definitely open if you guys are open to it, and we'll have a conversation like that. So.
I saw you had Michael sent me a 10 and a 16 unit yesterday. They were one bedrooms in Lake Worth. I tend to move away from one bedrooms. I tend to like the 2s and the 3s, but you never know.
Everything has a price.
Everything does have a price, and who knows? Maybe we'll talk offline about that.
For sure.
So,
we actually sold that property to the current owner.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's trying to make a quick buck. So I don't know if I would invest in that.
Got it. Okay.
But we want to at least show it to you, at least show you what's out there before, because that property is going on the market. So I wanted to show you guys
before it actually hits.
It's information.
That
it helps
helpful.
your properties.
That
you
is
have
so
properties
helpful.
in Lake Worth, right?
Yeah.
And then you have more information to create more value within your property.
Agreed.
So it's always good to be looking at all deals.
It also helps
agree
me move
100%.
fast when the right one pops up, because I've seen that one that you showed me, and then you're like, hey Larry, this is here's the next one, and then I'm like, I already know the answers because I've seen everything.
And just
else
keep an idea of what
me.
price per door is in a certain area. For 1 bedrooms, 2 and 3 bedrooms, it's good to know so that you're right. When you see another deal, if 2 bedrooms are $250,000 per door in Lake Worth, and you see one come out for $220, I'm like, okay.
Maybe I'll take a look.
This is. I need to take a deeper dive
exactly.
on this one. So
exactly,
that's good.
You'll know pretty quick too. But so most of our deals are off market, and that's why I tend to focus on the 10 units to 60 units, because those are for the most part, mom and pop owners, right?
Agreed.
There's definitely some institutional,
independent, not institutional.
Not institutional. There is some layover, crossover, but it's easier to build relationships with an individual versus a corporation, right?
100%.
Those corporations know who to go to when they want to offload properties.
That's great.
So
you do outbound calling as the main source for that. Okay.
That's the only way to do it.
How much time are you spending in a day doing that? Like, is that
so I use
time block?
Yeah. So when I was doing this solely myself, all day. right, all day, at least 5 or 6 hours doing that. Now I do a little bit of less, and some of my brokers do a little bit more of the calling, and if they uncover an interested owner, I'll jump in. But also, we also lead with property management too. So we have all these services we can offer.
It's like, what help do you need?
Exactly.
Yeah. How can we bring you value?
And I'll give you value for free. If you're not interested, I'll give you my plumber contact, just to help, and that opens the conversation. A lot of these owners, you guys own properties too, you get calls from brokers all the time.
Sure.
Most of them are, I don't hang up on them because I appreciate where they've come from, what they do.
I'm never rude to them ever, but I'll just say
because we're chasing deals anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're
Good to
building
talk to
relationships.
people.
Sometimes I'll even talk to them, and I'll just be like, what do you have?
course.
I'm not selling, but I'm a buyer.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I treat broker calls like my free inbound opportunity to prospect for more deals.
Of course.
They're like, hey, are you selling stuff? And I'm like, no, but I'm buying stuff. So do you have anything? And so the conversation changes. They're usually not super thrilled about that, but
what I personally have found, and it's just,
but they're happy they're not getting hung up on.
Yeah, right.
A
lot of the younger guys,
a real human being. Oh my God, this guy's being nice to me.
A lot of the younger guys, when you start talking to them, they're like, oh my God, what a refreshing conversation.
Yeah.
This old man, like, I'm not an old man. They're like, you're not talking to an old man,
Sure.
and he's not slamming the phone on my ears or telling me to
You feel
go
good
take
having
a walk.
conversation.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is refreshing. Yeah.
Gives them some hope for the rest of the
right,
for the rest of the
exactly.
week, the rest of the week, maybe. Hopefully their career. I remember 5 years ago I had one
They're just about to quit. They're just about to quit the whole business, hang up their license and move on.
Actually, one of my first jobs out of college was I was on a marketing team, cold calling, trying to sell advertisement space in a newspaper for the Colorado Rockies. And I was based in Florida, right?
Wow.
So I learned rejection 101.
Totally. That's
newspapers.
I was going to ask you, how do you deal with the rejection? It's just, at this point, doesn't matter.
Now it doesn't affect me at all.
At all. They could curse at you, whatever.
Yeah, move on.
You'll
be nice. They may be nice tomorrow.
Delete my phone number.
That's actually the thing. I've been told off, never call me again, never talk to me again, and then all of a sudden either I get a call from them or somehow we end up in a conversation again, and either they don't remember or they apologize to me for the way they treated me, right? It's like insane.
Some people just have bad days.
Yeah, of course.
They just got in a fight with their boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband, and their kids annoying them, or you caught them at the wrong time, and maybe they'll be super nice the next day. So
and also, they may not want to sell today. They say, I have a 10-year hold period. That could change next week. When I see that, when I hear an owner say that, and I find out that the property sold off market a couple days later, a couple weeks later, I really realize that you just got to be on top of things.
It goes back to like when they decide to do something, you want to be the first person they think of. So for me in my business, that's the concept or the goal in a specific market area. For example, Boca Raton, that's where we invest the marketing dollars to hopefully be the first person someone thinks of.
Between the mailers, between the internet marketing, between the calling,
door hangers, whatever, you go down the list of all the things you can think of.
And when they get hit from 3 or 4 different ways, they're like, who is this team? Like, something's going on with them. This isn't the average realtor.
We send out these handwritten letters. Actually, might be something you want to consider. And if you hit them at the right moment, they pick up the phone and they call you. Mm-hmm. And so we might get out of a 5,000 mailer batch, we might get 20 calls, and like 4 or 3 or 2 of them are actually real people that want to sell.
That's impressive.
And then we go in and we either, in a lot of cases, we're listing the property because we're giving them their options. Here's a guy that'll pay cash, and here's what we could do if we put it on the market, and that's been successful. But to your point, the point you're making, I just ran that same campaign recently, and it's kind of a dud. Yeah, to a degree.
Sure. You don't know.
Which is kind of funny. I actually think it's the time of year because. Like if you run it like July, most people aren't really. The market kind of slows a little bit right now from a new listing.
They're traveling, vacations, kids are out of school.
But the one that I did have success with was January 10th or 5th or something like that. Everybody's in like go mode then. Right?
I wouldn't be sending something out in December.
Right, totally. Nobody's thinking about that.
That too.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. I think maybe October, maybe November a little bit,
November's
and then skip
good.
December for sure.
November's good because a lot of people have plans starting for January 1st. So maybe I want to sell for tax purposes or whatever, or I want to,
Especially in your line, the investment sales.
Towards the end of the year, that's actually not a good. That's a good point. Like you got to get out of things before
the tax year comes around. It all depends. But then again, there's no rhyme or reason because then you're dealing with the individual.
Agreed.
And someone, a lot of people sell based off of circumstances positive and negative in their life, right? And hopefully it's positive, but sometimes it's negative.
Chasing pleasure or avoiding pain.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it.
Putting them in a headspace of what that money could do for them too. You know, if they've owned a property for 10, 20 years, or they're a boomer who's 72, and, you know, have you ever not taken that cruise, that world cruise that you wanted to take? You know, did you go to the Med? Did you go to Alaska? You know, did you do those things? And is this, if you don't, you know, how nice would it be to get a profit of $600,000 from your triplex that you've had for, you know, X number of years? Putting them in that mindset is always helpful.
Usually they're thinking about that already.
It's like vision,
hopefully.
you know, they're envisioning
For
it.
sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how has the brokerage business in the commercial multifamily space been over the past year or two? How is it feeling right now? Just
very slow. A lot slower. It's the slowest it's been since I've been working this, and I've only been working in it for about 15 years. But very slow, right? It's such an interest rate sensitive asset. I have done a couple deals, mostly cash deals, right? Because deals today are not financeable. When you have interest rates at 7%, you can't just have a 7% cap rate, right? It has to be greater than that. So a lot of cash deals and a lot of renovations to try to boost the rents to try to make it work. I do see that there's definitely more interest. Well, I think the interest has always been there. It's just like the cash on the sidelines. And the sellers, as I'm sure you guys would probably agree with me, the sellers are still in the mindset of 2 years ago. Oh, someone offered me $200,000 a door for my unit. I want to stick it out until I could get that.
Yeah.
So that's
especially if they've owned it for a long time and they are getting good cash flow and income. Maybe they have a small mortgage or no mortgage at this point, and they don't have to sell.
They don't. If you don't have to sell, they'll probably hold on.
Because we're in this weird economic environment where it's not great. Inflation has really hurt people, and especially the working class. But people who own assets and they're getting cash flow, it's not bad. Our vacancies are maybe ticked up just a tiny bit, but it's nothing that's catastrophic. It kind of takes some type of, I don't want to use the word black swan event, but it takes something that's unexpected to happen to shake people from whatever this status quo is, and whether that be interest rates dropping a full point that may start the process. We saw a little bit of that a couple of days ago, but I think interest rates have kind of started to slowly pop back up again. Or an economic recession, some kind of war, some kind of major stock market crash.
Absolutely.
Dropping 10% or 15% the market. Whatever those types of events can shake things up.
And it may not
cause a lot of transactions.
Absolutely, but it may not directly impact our tenants and our multifamily property, but it's macro, right? It's people's interpretation of what's happening in the market.
Tenants may not care that the stock market drops 10 or 12% because most of them don't have money in stocks. As long as they still have jobs, if employment's still high, then you're good. But so tell us a little bit about the syndication and what you've done and when we use the word syndication, are all the deals that you've done, are they all truly syndication where you're complying with blue sky law and SEC rules, where you have sophisticated investors, or are some of these smaller joint venture deals where you're working with just a couple, like a friend and families?
That's a good question. For sure. It's the latter. So it's
got it.
Yeah, so it's not extremely complicated.
Got it.
I have the
wouldn't be called true syndication, more like partnering.
Yeah, where there's general partners and limited partners, joint ventures. So I like to focus on the more simplistic breakdowns of the acquisitions, and it's really just on a equity cash in equity type of split, right?
Got it.
Most of my deals are with family and friends, so I don't have to overcomplicate things. A lot of the buildings I do own wholly myself, which is a lot nicer because
then you have no one to control.
It's easy to issue, easy to deal with issues, but I don't have that type of money to buy all the buildings I want, right? So as of late, actually, you guys had JJ Gilbane on your podcast, and I actually found a couple deals for him, and that was the first deal, two of the first deals that I've actually invested in where I was a limited partner.
Oh, well, great.
And that's the first time I've done that.